Hello, good morning, and welcome to another newspaper review on JDN Radio 101.5 FM. And this morning, the 25th of March 2026, and this morning I am with 3 dailies, and I will be giving you the stories that made it to the front page of those dailies for this morning. I am Abiodun Sampson. So if you are just tuning in, this is JDN Radio 101.5 FM, the only radio station that is broadcasting for all. And this morning, I will be starting with the Punch newspaper with this headline that says 2027 polls. PDP government rejects Wike blocks consensus chair. Dangote NNPC deals yield turbulence over crude shortfall. Parties want INEC rules could skew 2027 polls. Nigerians out of school crisis demands $345 million yearly, says Alausa. Forfeiture, EFCC evicts Malami family from Abuja residents. ICPC alleges El Rufai pocketed 289 million naira and also $797,900 illegally. Uwatada Bashiru cleared as APC maps out 2027 convention. And also, DHQ dismisses Udeme's Northeast terrorist takeover alarm. And those are the stories from the Punch newspaper for this morning, the 25th of March, 2026. And moving forward in the newspaper review, I have this from The Nation for this morning with this headline that says APC, no threats to convention. And also blackouts. NISO releases 2,793 megawatts to 11 discos. El Rufai to explain 579 million naira severance pay. Labour Party zones presidential ticket to South Shift Convention. And also on The Nation, Ayo Salami fault process for judges, appointment to Supreme Court. And on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune for this morning, I have this news that says, Obi ought not to contest in 2023 presidential elections, says Justice Salami. And also on the front page, 2027, all your PDP candidates to emerge April 8, says Makinde. And also on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune for this morning, parties want indirect primaries restored. And also, with this rider that says, insist on amendment of Electoral Act as INEC updated guidelines, review party registration, merger, deregistrations and campaign expenses. And those are on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune for this morning. And also on the front page, I have this news that says, court remands El Rufai bail application hearing for March 31st. And those are the stories from the front page of the Nigerian Tribune for this morning. you're just tuning in, it's to the newspaper review on your dial 101.5 FM. JDN Radio Broadcasting for all and situated at 1 Church Street, Joyce B. Road, Okeado in the city of Ibadan, Nigeria. So I will be giving you stories from the headlines that made it to the front page of the dailies for this morning. I will be starting with the Punch newspaper, which says 2027 polls, PDP government rejects Wike blocks consensus chair. The crisis rocking the opposition People's Democratic Party worsened on Tuesday as governors in the party distanced themselves from the consensus selection of a national chairman and secretary by the Nyesom Wike-backed faction, insisting on legal redress and a review of the process. These, as a Senator Samuel Anyanwu and Abdurrahman Mohammed emerged as consensus candidates for National Secretary and National Chairman, respectively, backed by the Minister of Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike. Credible senior PDP members aligned with the governors-backed National Working Committee led by Taminu Turaki San, who spoke on conditions of anonymity because they were not authorized to reveal the development, that they would pursue all available legal avenues to ensure the crisis is resolved in their favor. Meanwhile, very high-ranking members of the Wike-backed National Caretaker Committee, who requested anonymity because they are not authorized to speak on the matter, revealed in an exclusive interview on Tuesday that all geopolitical zones had agreed to consensus candidates for NWC positions ahead of the March 29-30th National Convention. And the story continues on the Punch newspaper for this morning. Still on the Punch newspaper with this headline that says Dangote NNPC deal eats turbulence over crude shortfall. The ambitious deal between the Dangote Petroleum Refinery and Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited is facing challenges as the refinery experienced a crude oil supply shortfall of approximately 79.53 million barrels between October 2025 and mid-March 2026. According to the findings, data obtained from the impeccable senior management source within the refinery indicated that the facility, which requires approximately 19.77 million barrels of crude monthly to operate at full capacity, received significantly lower volumes during the review month. The official argued that under the Petroleum Industries Act, the export of crude before meeting local demands was clearly prohibited, stressing that the $20 billion Lekki-based plant has been grappling with inadequate crude volumes, while the country, through NNPC, continues to export some of its oil. A breakdown of the figures shows that the refinery is supposed to get 19.77 million barrels of crude monthly, but it got 4.55 million barrels in October, 6.45 million barrels in November, 4.30 million barrels in December, 5.65 million barrels in January, and 4.66 million barrels in February. For March, only 3.6 million barrels were delivered between the 1st and the 15th of March. And this story continues on the Punch newspaper for this morning. If you're just tuning in, it's still the newspaper review on your dial 101.5 FM. And I'm still on the Punch newspaper with this that says parties want INEC rules could skew 2027 polls. Political parties have raised concern over the Independent National Electoral Commission's newly unveiled 2026 draft regulations for political parties, warning that certain provisions could undermine the credibility of the 2027 general elections. Speaking at a consultative meeting in Abuja, leaders under the Inter-Party Advisory Council criticized requirements such as mandatory direct primaries and strict submissions of membership registers, describing them as impracticable and exclusionary. They urge INEC and the National Assembly of the Review and Rules to safeguard transparency, inclusivity, and public confidence in the electoral process. The concerns were raised after the INEC chairman, Professor Joas Apumiton, unveiled a revised draft of its 2026 regulations and guidelines for political parties, seeking their input to strengthen the electoral process ahead of the 2027 general elections. And the story continues on the Punch newspaper for this morning. And moving forward to the nation for this morning, the 25th of March 2026, with this headline that says APC, no threat to convention. There is no threat to the national conventions of the All Progressive Congress scheduled for Abuja, Federal Capital Territory on Saturday. National Secretary Senator Ajibola Bashiru said yesterday. He said the convention will be held in accordance with the Constitution, the Electoral Act, and the ruling party's constitutions and guidelines. Also yesterday, Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammad Idris, said the convention will be a milestone. Bashiru noted that the complaint by the South-South National Vice Chairmanship aspirant, Fubara Dagogo, who has gone to court, describing the move as pernicious and lacking in bias. No fewer than 7,200 delegates were expected at the convention. Ahead of the Saturday convention, zonal congresses to produce leaders at that level of the party's structures will be held at 6 centers today, reflecting the 6 geopolitical zones. Among the officials will be elected as zonal vice chairmen and other executives. Yesterday, the aspirant screening, chaired by Ekiti State Governor Biodun Oyebanji, cleared the national chairman, Professor Newante Yetuwada, Bashiru National Publicity Secretary Felix Moka, and his deputy Duro Meseko, and other aspirants to participate in the elections. In Goza, the Zamfara state capital, where he led the other party leaders in receiving Governor Daudu Lawal into the party, Vice Chairman Kasim Shatima said the APC is waxing stronger. And the story continues on the Nations for this morning. And still on the Nation with this headline that says blackouts. NISO releases 2,793 megawatts to 11 discos. The 11 power distribution companies DISCO yesterday received 2,793 megawatts of electricity from the Nigerian electricity supply industry. The leap from the 0 megawatt supply to 10 DISCOs as of Sunday is expected to bring relief of electricity users in many parts of the country, including a commercial capital, Lagos. How the fix was achieved was not made known by the NESI, going by the fact that gas supply of generation company Gencos had, as of yesterday, not improved. Power Minister Adebayo Adelabu, at a news conference in Abuja, contributed the worsening outage in the countries to a lack of gas supply to thermal stations, but he assured consumers that improved electricity will be available in the next 2 weeks. Adebayo also insisted that 6,000 megawatts will be achieved before December. A breakdown of the 2,793 megawatts sent by NESI, the nation's power system operators, shows Abuja Discos receiving 503 megawatts. It was followed by Ikeja Discos with 497 megawatts, Eko Discos with 424 megawatts, Ibadan Discos with 314 megawatts, Benin Discos with 212 megawatts, Enugu Discos 203 megawatts, Port Harcourt Discos 183 megawatts, Kano Discos 142 megawatts, Kaduna Discos 133 megawatts, Jos Disco 119 megawatts, and Yola Disco 63 megawatts, and it was shared respectively. And the story continues on the Nations for this morning. It's still the newspaper review on your dial 101.5 FM, JDN Radio, the only radio station that is broadcasting for all. And I have this headline that says, El-Rufai to explain 579 million naira severance pay. A former governor of Kaduna State, Malam Nasir El-Rufai, is to account for overpayment of 579 million naira as severance allowance between 2020 and 2023. He was said to be entitled to 40 million after his first and second terms in office. Also, he is expected to explain to the court how he came about the over $781,900 strange deposit in his domiciliary account by a staff member and some individuals. One of the affected staff members is on the run. Some of the individuals has escaped from Nigeria. The details of the allegations were contained in the charge sheet dated March 18, 2026, which the Independent Corrupt Practice and Other Related Offense Commission, ICPC, filed against the ex-governor before the Federal High Court Kaduna Division. The former governor was arraigned yesterday. The ICPC alleged that El-Rufai illegally collected 289.8 million naira as severance allowance on two occasions in September 2020 and January 2023. The total severance package was about 579 million naira instead of the entitled sum of about 40 million, amounting to 20 million each of his two terms. And this story continues on the Nations for this morning, the 25th of March 2026. And as you know that we want you to be part of the newspaper review on JDN Radio 101.5 FM. And do not forget that we are live on Facebook on JDN Radio 101.5 FM and also on YouTube on JDN Radio 101.5 FM. I'm live also on my Facebook on Abiodu Samson. And I have this comment from Dr. Mrs. Sarinam Olebara. She said she's from Owerri. She said it takes intellect, self-confidence, creativity, commitment, and power to move a nation forward. Do our leaders have what it takes? And she said that we need leaders with passion, focus, and vision to move this country forward. And she also added that we cannot continue living in pain and penury. She said we are desperately in need of a leadership that would improve our lot. And she continued by saying that in the life of a nation, there comes a crucial moment where leaders take decisive actions aimed at salvaging the people from disaster. And thank you so much, Dr. Mrs., for your contribution this morning. And for you to be part of the conversation this morning on the newspaper review on JDN Radio 101.5 FM, you can call into the studio line on 07048 001015 and 08022102163. And you can also drop your comments on our Facebook, and I would read them out for people to hear your opinion on JDN Radio 101.5 FM and also on YouTube on JDN Radio 101.5 FM. So thank you, Dr. Mrs. Olibara, from Owerri. Thank you so much. We appreciate your timely comment and also joining us for the newspaper review on JDN Radio. You are much appreciated. And also special thanks to Ikuma Kwaye Ebenezer for joining us this morning on the newspaper review. And thank you for always tuning in. And we appreciate your compliment. And still moving forward with the nation, with this headline that says Labour Party zones presidential ticket to South, shift convention. No aspirant from the North will get presidential ticket of the Labour Party in 2027. The party National Caretaker Committee Chairman, Senator Esther Nenadi Usman, said yesterday. According to her, the party has zoned its presidential ticket to the South. She spoke in Abuja after a consultative meeting of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, with the Inter-Party Advisory Committee. Mrs. Usman emphasized that the decision was a firm policy shift intended to provide clarity for prospective aspirants ahead of the next general election. She said, "We have one certain decision that we have taken. That is to say that we will certainly not field any aspirant from northern Nigerian. We have zoned the position to southern Nigerian. So if any northerners comes now wanting to contest election, we certainly will not accept that," she said. And this continues on The Nation for this morning. And taking this as the last deadline, I will be taking from The Nation for this morning that says, Ayo Salami fought process for judges appointment to Supreme Court. A former appeal court president, Justice Isa Ayo Salami, retired, has said the former Anambra State Governor, Peter Obi, should not be allowed to contest the 2023 presidential elections under the Labour Party. Justice Salami noted that the inadequacy and incompetence of some of the judges were responsible for some of their wrong verdicts. The retired jurist spoke yesterday in Ilorin, the Kwara State capital, during a visit and representation of an award by the Wale Soyinka Center for Investigative Journalism to him. The award was represented by Justice Salami by the founder and executive director of the center, Dapo Olorun Yomi, and Motunrayo Alaka at his Ilorin home. Justice Salami said there are a few bad eggs amongst some judges. Strictly speaking, I will not say bad eggs. Some of them have a problem of learning. They don't have a good background to be judged. Imagine appointing a higher registrar as a judge. He has no experience. In the past, this would have not happened, maybe due to the population explosion. We have everybody reading law. Every university or college is trying to establish a law faculty. All these may be responsible, not because they are dishonest. And the story continues on The Nation for this morning. And as you noted on the newspaper review on JDN Radio 101.5 FM, if you do not have the chance or the opportunity to pull a call through, you can always join them on the Yoruba language version on Afoni Rui on JDN Radio 101.5 FM. That will be coming up shortly. So I want to say a special thanks to everyone that has been part of the newspaper review. Your comment from Dr. Mrs. Olebara and Ikuma Kwaye Ebenezer for joining us, and your contribution is quite very, very valuable to us this morning. I remain Abiodun Samson, and do not forget that the newspaper review continues tomorrow, same time 7:30 a.m. to 8 a.m. on your dial 101.5 FM. Do not take it from that dial, as the newspaper review comes up in Yoruba language version shortly. Till then.